Hello, hello.
Hello, we're here.
We are here finally. How is everything going? Where are you calling
Very
from?
calling from down under, I guess you would call it, aka Australia. What about
Nice.
yourself?
Whereabouts in Australia?
We're in Western Australia, so that's Perth,
Nice.
right on the
Very cool.
west coast. Yeah.
I'm calling from Dubai.
Ah, Dubai, awesome. I hear
Well,
the traffic there is pretty bad sometimes.
yeah, it usually lets up in the summer because everybody leaves because the temperatures are crazy. But in the winter, that's when it's really, really bad. So yeah,
Right.
now we're getting into the hotter climate, so it's gonna be great. Driving is gonna be a breeze.
Awesome.
Cool. Well, I before we get into things, I'm gonna do a really quick introduction. So everybody meet Anthony from Zap. Um, Zap is a comprehensive wallet ecosystem that is built on the Fuel network. It connects traditional Ethereum wallets and biometric signing methods with Fuel's advanced blockchain capabilities. And this episode, this webinar, this streaming thing, it's part of our Only on Fuel research series, which explores really cool projects that are building in the Fuel ecosystem using the Fuel VM, Sway, and other tools that we're providing. So yeah, let's get right into things. Maybe we can just kind of do a quick introduction, Anthony. Like, how did you get into crypto? Your explanation of what Zap is for someone that's like super new to it. Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, sure. Um, I guess basically, you could say Zap is an all-in-one gateway to Web3 that really works the way that you want it to work. So think about it like this. Currently, in blockchain, users have to juggle multiple wallets for multiple chains and maybe even have a notebook full of seed phrases. And this all adds technical complexity to the whole system. At Zap, what we're building is a unified system where you can access all your digital assets and have interact with Web3 seamlessly, whether you're on a PC or a laptop or on a mobile device just down the road paying for coffee. The, the magic with Zap is what happens behind the scenes. So we're here building on Fuel, which gives us access to all these amazing advances in blockchain tech and these cool infrastructure advancements like UTXOs and stateless account abstraction and a bunch of other blockchain tech jargon words that all happen under the hood with Zap. And what this means is users don't have to adapt to the technology itself. For example, you can bring your existing Ethereum wallet, and in the future, what we're going to be doing is enabling biometric authentication right on our interface, and it all connects back to one in the same place, which is the Zap wallet. So the goal is actually, it's pretty simple. It's to make blockchain feel as easy and as natural to use as any other financial app, while giving you all the um, all the benefits of true ownership and control that Web3 promises. So really it's about having one system, multiple ways to use it, and zero complexity for the user. I guess you would say that's that.
How did you come
Um,
up with the name?
Sorry?
How did you come up with the name?
Yeah, I don't know. The name, I guess it's like, it's one of these real weird personal things where my parents used to own like a lunch bar when I was a kid, and we used to have these boxes of juice. They were like milkshake drinks, and on this they were called Zap. And I guess that's like this weird like free will thing where like it's just made its way into my life later down the track.
Oh,
But the thing is with Zap is it sort of represents speed and like quickness for us. Like we really wanted it to be fast and snappy. Yeah.
makes sense. That's cool. Was there a specific aha moment that you had, when you were creating, which kind of led to you building Zap?
Yeah, so I guess it goes back to the start of when I started to get into crypto. Like I started crypto in around 2016. I was mining Ethereum, and like a lot of miners, I had a garage full of GPUs and these huge power bills every month. It was crazy. And I was sort of working with some programming like smart contracts and remix, and thinking about like what could I do in this space. Like we've got all this infrastructure, the infrastructure is getting built out. Like what problem does this really solve? And I think for me it was always about like I should be able to pay for my coffee with this technology, right? And eventually I got into the space doing software development. I worked for a ZK company for a while, and then like the infrastructure actually just got so much better. And I think the aha moment was like bridging, oh, well, I can actually try and build something that will solve this itch, I guess you would say. Like I can do real world payments now, provided there's the technology and architecture that will support it. So it was like, we have mobile phones now that are really quite powerful. We have internet that can support these things. It was just a place where things started coming together all at the same time. And yeah, that's basically how Zap came along.
And then how did Fuel kind of enter the picture? How did you decide to build on Fuel? Were there any specific features that stood out to you and your team?
Yeah, so choosing Fuel was honestly a no-brainer when we understood what we were trying to build. Like I'd looked at, over the past sort of 5 years, looked at quite a few chains and done a deep dive on them, all their VM architectures and their smart contract programming languages, and trying to work out like where were the holes and where was it like not working for them. And then like discovering Fuel, like the architecture with Fuel uniquely enables the kind of experience we want to have for the users on Zap. It's one of those rare moments when the technical foundation sort of perfectly aligns with the product vision we have at Zap. So it just, it was like a no-brainer in the end.
Let's talk a little bit about UTXOs and Zap as well. I don't want to get too like in the weeds of discussion, but I know when you and I had spoken earlier, you had mentioned wanting to build on Fuel's UTXO model. Can you just like really kind of, it doesn't have to be like super technical, but like just a brief explanation of why the UTXO model appealed to you?
Yeah, so okay, without like going too deep into like the UTXO model, I think it's probably best to explain it in terms of the difference between the account model. So let's just think about it in terms of piggy banks, right? I'm going to set up a scenario where you have the account piggy bank, which is basically what you have with like layer 1 Ethereum at the moment, and your bank account. So that's how you get the name bank account. And with this account piggy bank, you can put coins in and you can take coins out. And on the side of the piggy bank, it has a little screen that tells you the total amount of coins that are in the piggy bank itself. But there's a constraint with the account piggy bank, and that's if you put a coin in, you have to update the balance, and you have to do that before you can do anything else. So before you take out a coin or put in another coin, you have to update the balance. And this is what you would call a sequential system, and it's sort of really slow. The other piggy bank that I guess we can come up with here is the UTXO piggy bank. And this is what you have with, say, Bitcoin, or what you have with Fuel. And in this piggy bank, it's full of specially colored tickets, and each one of those tickets has like a number on it that represents the value of the coin. It's the same setup as like the account piggy bank, where on the outside it shows the total amount of coins or tickets in the piggy bank itself. But the difference is when you want to say spend or send coins to someone else, say I have a friend that I want to send 8 coins. I might just go into the piggy bank and grab some tickets just at random, and I might grab one that says 7 and 3, right? So 7 and 3 is 10. I go and give my friend 7 and 3, the 2 tickets, and they give me back a new ticket that says 2. So it still balances. I sent 8, I got 2 back for my 10. It all works. But the advantage is with the UTXO piggy bank, you can put in and take out multiple tickets at the same time. So the account piggy bank might actually be easier to understand, but the UTXO piggy bank can handle more people using it at the same time, and it can do fancier things. And what I mean by fancier things is in each one of these tickets, you can attach like custom spending conditions, and that in the fuel ecosystem is what we call a predicate. And we use this a lot in Zap.
That's a really great way to explain it. I love the piggy bank analogy. That's a great way. So essentially, what you're saying is that the UTXO model enables like parallel transactions. Is that like the
Yeah,
main benefit?
yeah. I mean, the fuel VM and UTXOs enable parallel transactions, and basically that means that you can do more transactions simultaneously and get faster confirmations. And this is really important for things like real world payments, because you don't want to be standing at the coffee shop and having like the person in front of you or a bunch of people turn up at the same time. And then suddenly, oh, I can't actually submit my transaction to chain because the gas price has just rapidly gone up in 10 seconds, right? So with parallel transaction execution, you get a more predictable scenario for users where gas prices stay at a predictable level. And this is really what is like an absolute must for real world transactions. And you also get a scenario where the network itself can handle congestion better.
Right. Okay, I want to kind of dive a little bit deeper into what Zap looks like. I mean, we'll dive deeper, but also get a kind of overall view of what the different components are of Zap. So I think we had a diagram that, yeah, there we go. So it would be really great if you could kind of walk us through the main components of Zap and how they kind of work with each other. And then we can maybe go into a little bit of detail just about how stuff works technically. But if you
Yeah,
could just give us an overall idea of like what are the main components, like what it's going to look like, that would be amazing.
yeah, sure. So basically, this diagram represents, I guess, what you would call a hub and spoke system. So obviously, the diagram doesn't look like a hub and spoke per se right there, but what you will see at the center of the 3 boxes on the top is the Zap wallet, and that's the pink box. So that's really the center of the hub. Everything, all your transaction and validation goes through the center of the Zap wallet. And what you have on these 3 basically flows is on the left-hand side, you have the ability for legacy EVM wallets to connect to, we call it a JSON RPC in the industry. So any EVM wallet needs to connect to like what's called a JSON RPC or RPC, and that then talks to nodes. And in Ethereum, that talks to like an EVM node. But on Fuel, it's different. So the JSON RPC actually, it talks Ethereum's language and translates it to Fuel. In the center column, what you have is, this is really an interface for dApps building on Fuel. So your web applications, we have the Fuel connector, and inside that we have the Zap connector. So that's really the key thing for dApp developers to use, and that enables them to use the Zap wallet in their application and directly hook into things that are available in the ecosystem on Fuel. And right on the right-hand side is basically the same thing as the center except mobile. So you get awesome things like Face ID and biometric authentication, and that goes straight into like your mobile device. And again, in the center of that is the Zap wallet, and it all goes into the Fuel network or Fuel ecosystem.
So essentially, you can connect the Zap wallet to like other legacy EVM wallet accounts that you may have, like let's say on MetaMask or Coinbase, but it would all just be in the front end of the Zap wallet, right?
Yeah, so the Zap wallet itself is a stateless like account abstraction wallet. So you can connect your EVM wallet, but wallet's kind of a weird thing to use in this context. Like we call it a wallet, but when we're interfacing it with the Zap wallet, you see like it gets confusing because I'm saying like EVM wallet and Zap wallet. Really all that we're doing with the Zap wallet when we connect it with the Ethereum wallet is we're just using the signer capability of the wallet. And the Zap wallet holds all of the user's assets on Fuel, but in the EVM wallet, we represent their balances as they would usually have, but we use like this abstracted account. So the Ethereum account in your EVM wallet actually becomes the thing that's signing off transactions in the Zap wallet.
So then is it like just a back end thing, or do you plan to have a front end for like the Zap, wallet? Like if you're calling it wallet, but it's not really a wallet.
Yeah, so I mean, in a sense, it's what's considered, I guess you would say, is a smart wallet. So the wallet actually, it's like itself lives on chain, and all the user's assets lives on chain, just like any other wallet. And we really like when you're using an Ethereum wallet or we're using the Zap front end, that's the UI we're developing, that shows the user what they can do with their wallet. And that's one of the biggest things that we've found with Web3 is that that's a real sticking point for people. They either have really bad UX or it's not consistent like between different technologies or contexts. And what I mean by context is like you might be using your PC in the morning or your laptop in the morning, and then later on the evening you might be out and about using your mobile device, but you might have to use a different wallet, and we don't want that. Zap is really all about having a consistent and great experience.
Yeah, makes sense. One more question. Are there plans to potentially have wallets that are not built on the EVM, like on other like alt VMs potentially down the line, or is this going to be strictly EVM focused?
No, I mean, one of the cool things about the Zap wallet is like account abstraction in the way that when we build these wallets, the wallet's completely built out of predicates, and we use the Sway programming language to develop this. Right? That's Fuel's what we call domain-specific language, and it's been designed specifically for blockchain applications. And within the Sway standard library, there's a bunch of really cool things that just come straight out of the box, like multiple functions for elliptic curve account recovery. So what that means is you can bolt on multiple different signers. So it's not just the EVM wallet or the EVM curve, the Ethereum style curve that can be used within Sway, and then by extension in the Zap wallet, you can use things like Edwards from different chains. You can use things like Face ID and passkey, and this all comes like out of the box in Sway. So Sway has actually been a really important tool for us that's enabled us to develop the Zap wallet. I actually don't think like without Sway, there would be no Zap wallet, which is really saying something about how far that DSL and programming language has come since like the early days of using Solidity.
We love Sway.
Sway all the way.
Let's go. Okay, cool. Well, I wanted to shift gears a little bit and talk about the roadmap where you are on when it comes to like development and stuff. So maybe could you walk us through the different phases, um, things that and maybe also kind of give us a sense of uh, I guess like what people users can expect in the coming weeks or months, how people can get involved as well.
Yeah, sure. So currently we're pretty deep into phase 1 of development, and that's focusing on the core stuff in the Zap wallet, the predicate wallet itself. There's been several functions and different transaction types already built out. We're coming to the end of an audit, which has gone really well. And we're finishing off building the web UI. So that's all part of phase 1. Phase 1 is really about bringing EVM compatibility to Fuel and this web UI. Phase 2, which will be sort of directed more at Q4 25, will be about the mobile side. So this is when you get your multi-signer sort of set up within the Zap wallet. This is the biometric authentication systems. And this is when we'll start to introduce things like programmable transactions. I mean, every transaction is programmable, but when we talk about programmable, we really mean like an intent-based framework. So some of the spec for things like intents on Fuel, we still need to work on a lot and propose and talk to the, core developers about how they'd like that to look like on Fuel. But really, we in phase 2, we're really focused on what users want to express and how they want to do transactions rather than the like technicals about the execution. And then phase 3 is really about like scaling and comprehensive payment infrastructure. So this is really the holy grail for me, at least. This is the thing that I've always wanted to see in blockchain and Web3. That's payments infrastructure for point of sale and real world payment solutions. So that's like the key thing that we would like to solve. But to get there, we have to do, phase 1 and phase 2 first, for sure. I guess what users can expect is in the next few weeks, we're going to be releasing something on testnet for everybody to have a look at and sort of hammer it a little bit and try and get a feel and some feedback. We have something actually pretty special coming that's unique to the Fuel ecosystem, but I'll keep quiet about that. So you have to watch the space and follow us to get to know what that is. I think I'm really excited about this.
Let us know the Twitter handle as well that people can follow so that we can have people start following and keep their eyes peeled.
Yeah, sure. So the Twitter handle is @ZapPayment. If you want, like, just tag me personally in anything that you're feeling about the Web3 experience. My Twitter handle is @AnthonyBurrows_. And what we really want to hear from users is how they interact with Web3. So if you want to jump along to some more long form content, I usually hide out in the research channel on the Fuel forum. So that's forum.fuel.network. Come over there. We've got currently got a research proof of concept up for gasless transactions. So if you'd love to see gasless transactions on Fuel, come over there and tell us what you think.
Well, I definitely recommend following Anthony on Twitter. I think you published an article today, right?
Yeah.
Yes, that was a great read. But yeah, definitely follow Anthony and Zap to stay updated on cool, interesting developments. Okay, cool. So let's talk a little bit about the user experience on Zap. How does Zap plan to make, you talked a bit earlier on, you talked about how you're really trying to make blockchain interactions feel more natural, more seamless. What's the plan for that? How do you do that?
So I basically think we're at a critical inflection point with crypto where we sort of need to move beyond the early adopters. It's not to say, we don't need them. Of course, we'd need them. But with that, we're sort of bridging the gap between creating familiar experiences that don't require users to know anything about blockchain concepts in general. And this is what I think mainstream adoption really needs. We need to remove the technical barriers. So people shouldn't need to know like what a transaction hash is or what a gas fee is just to do an operation or complete an action on Web3. It's really about making the technology invisible while preserving the benefits of Web3 and blockchain tech. Like what we do with Zap is try and abstract away complexity. And we do this through, I guess you would say, several design choices or principles. And the first one is to use like everyday language instead of crypto jargon. So if you go to our website or landing page, you'll just see regular language. If you want to go for a deep dive into some of our technical spec, you can go over to our like GitHub. It's full of technical jargon if you like that sort of thing. And the second thing is really about removing the technical decisions for the user and having all that stuff just handled behind the scenes. So we really try to design our interfaces in a way that like accomplishes this without having to give users the problems of blockchain limitations. So something like when you want to pay for your stick of gum or your coffee, you should just be able to tap and confirm. It's everything for that transaction or operation happens behind the scenes and sort of invisibly. And that was really what the article today was about. It was about making blockchain invisible and bringing back the UX to what the internet should be. So really with Zap, it's about expressing intent, like I want to buy this or I want to send my friend $5 rather than worrying about the execution details. I guess like when it comes to UX and how do we improve it, it's about using familiar things like Face ID and passkeys is like absolutely essential for mainstream adoption. Like people already trust these methods. They're familiar with them from their banking apps or password managers. And by leveraging these established trust mechanisms, it basically removes a hurdle for adoption. Things like signing a transaction should feel safe and familiar. Like it shouldn't be like you're handling nuclear launch codes when you want to go pay for your coffee, right?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Do you think that there are any wallets in the ecosystem that are doing a good job when it comes to this? Not to put you on the spot, just curious.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's been this has been an evolving thing over the last sort of 10 years. And I think I said this at the start of the article, like we had key-based wallets when we started, like in Ethereum and obviously Bitcoin's key-based. And I don't know if you remember like things like the Mist wallet from like early Ethereum. It was like, it feels almost nostalgic to think about that right now, but like we've come so far with wallets and the discussion for like what wallets are doing the best things. I mean, there's an array of different wallets. Ethereum's got like EIP 4337, and then we got like 7702 that's just come along in the Pectra update. So all of these things have advanced, but in the world of Ethereum, it's all like state-based. So this is what Fuel really uniquely solves, is this like state minimization problem that's more sustainable. I think crypto wallets generally today, like they build around constraints rather than the user's needs. And the problem is, I think they expose technical concepts like the transaction hash or like keys and all of this sort of stuff, and it forces users to make a mental model of what this should look like. With Zap, what we're doing is flipping this approach. So it's about providing one consistent experience, and the difference is we really would like to make blockchain invisible, and success isn't about getting people to say, oh, I use blockchain. It's about getting people to say, oh, I sent my friend $5, and not even realizing they were using blockchain.
That's a really good point. Yeah, that's a really, really good point, because I mean, there's a very tiny little subsection of people that would want to dive into the technicalities. There aren't that many of us who actually like care so deeply. At the end of the day, people just kind of want their $5 to be sent safely and securely. So
Yeah,
yeah, that's a
totally.
really good point. That's a really, really good point. I'm curious
I
because you've
think
been in crypto. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I think I saw you on a call the other day with David and Hirsch, and you were talking about like when you send funds, like triple check it, and that to me is like, it's just crazy that even I do the same thing, right? Like when I'm doing an interaction with a wallet, I'm triple checking it, and it's like, well, how has this not changed in the last like 10 years? It's funny, right?
Yeah, it is really funny. And that, I mean, that's a great segue into what I was going to ask you, which was, I mean, you've been in the space for a long time. Um, and I'm curious to know what it's been like, you know, transacting back then versus now. What are the biggest differences you would say? I mean, obviously, I think user experience has gotten like a little bit better. I would hope so. But, and I guess we have more options now as well. But what would you say are the biggest differences? And how is it kind of, how has transacting evolved over the last 10 years?
Yeah, I mean, the funny thing is, like in the early days, I used to just use the SDKs or libraries to do a lot of the transactions, which was like obviously not what most users do. So it's only become recently that I've started to use, like obviously MetaMask has been around for quite some time and these other wallets, but yeah, I mean, the funny thing is, I don't know, maybe you can look at the top of your browser window right now and tell me how many wallets you actually have installed, right? Like I can see at least 2, which is nothing. Usually it's something like 7,
Yeah.
right? So I think transacting is like, maybe the UX has gotten a little better, but over the years, the amount of browser wallet extensions that I've added to my browser have increased, which seems to suggest to me that something hasn't quite gotten fixed yet. But in general, I think things have gotten a lot faster. So chains have for sure gotten faster, which has helped UX.
Yeah, definitely. I'm also one of those people. I remember a time where I had like 7 wallets, and I realized that I wasn't actually using half of them for really tiny little reasons. Like I just didn't like the UX, or I didn't like, there was something about it that bothered me. So yeah, I agree with you. I think there's definitely more options than there used to be, but I don't think that there's like a perfect wallet. Every wallet that I've used has had something that annoyed me about it, but I just kind of, there's nothing else, so I just keep on using it.
Do you think you actually have the passphrases for all of those wallets back in the day that you don't use anymore?
Don't ask me that. I made some of these wallets like years ago, like these accounts years ago. I don't want to think about it. Now I just move everything to Ledger, and I pray and hope that it's going to be like perfectly safe there. But to be honest, if I'm being really honest, generally with wallets, it's purely just to transact, just to send like a small amount of funds to somebody else. I would never keep anything on a wallet. I don't think we're supposed to anyway. But I think it's gotten to a point now where I'm so paranoid that I just don't ever want to keep, even if it's like $100, I want to move it off the wallet as soon as possible, because I'm just worried that something's gonna happen.
Yeah, and that to me is like crazy that we still people in the industry still have this mentality, like we should be able to install a wallet and feel like, okay, it's safe.
Yeah.
Like that's just, it has to happen. Or like there's a really cool project on Fuel right now called Bucko that does the vault. So maybe we can have some sort of system where you can have secure, like most of your funds are in a vault and you can move them in and out of your vault into your main wallet every now and then. Something like that would be super cool.
Exactly, because it's such a pain to, I mean, even like using a ledger, obviously it's like super secure and stuff, but it's such a pain to have to like, go in and like connect it and like do all of that. Like it's secure, but it takes time and it's just not convenient. Like sometimes I just want to send really quickly, I want to send like 50 USDC to a friend. And I don't want to have to like think so hard about, oh, but is it safe? Is it secure? Like, is it going to be fast enough? Like, there's just so many different things that are going on in my head. And I'm sure that the average user probably also is thinking about things this way, which is why it's great that Zap exists and is trying to like change things a little bit. I think we need more solutions like this that are like really trying to flip the switch and make the product about the user. Because people keep saying that their products are about the user, but it's very rare that it actually is.
I think the point is with Zap is we start with the user, right? We really try to understand what the user wants and how they use things, and then build the infrastructure behind that and not have them worry about how it happens.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I don't really have any other questions. I mean, is there anything else that you want people to know about Zap, about what you're building, your vision?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the best thing to do is just interact with Zap and the page. So if you want to see something on Fuel or you want to see something in the Zap wallet, the best thing to do is tag us in a post or come over to the Fuel forum. Like we said, my DMs are always open. If you want to chat, totally happy to just talk to people in the space and figure out what you want. Yeah.
And how big is your team right now?
Currently, it's a couple engineers, me. We're hiring out for a sort of promotion brand person, which is coming on next week. We have a designer coming on, and we're working with a few different consultants in the space. So we're growing for sure. We just can't get stuff done quick enough. That's really the scenario at the moment.
Yeah, fair enough. So it seems like we have some public questions from the audience. So would EIP 7702 impact your EVM wallet abstraction implementation? It's a good question.
So that's a really good question. So at the moment on Ethereum, what we've done is we've taken transactions type 1 and 2, which are your legacy transaction types, and EIP 1559. So we support those. What we're thinking about doing, which we have actually a discovery task within our team, is we're going to be thinking about how we can actually get EIP 7702 into the Zap wallet itself. But this really it's the hardest part about Zap and like Ethereum and Fuel at the moment is just shoehorning some of Ethereum's old, like not old, but like the technology between Ethereum and creating the glue logic for Fuel. So like I said before, everything in Zap is a predicate, which means that like if we use 7702, we probably have to go from like predicate validation to script, which means we'll have to transfer some of the code within 7702 into a script and do the interaction to whatever contract or any thing like that. So it doesn't necessarily affect the abstraction. It's more of like with the Zap wallet, what we can do is upgrade it, which is really cool. It's not stuck in like just one spot. So with things like 7702 or other EIPs that might come down the line in the future, what we can do is we can build that support into the Zap wallet.
Cool. I don't believe we have any more questions. We've got some excitement about seeing an app preview, so hopefully soon.
Yes, very soon, I think. We have some teasers coming. I think we have some teasers coming next week on Twitter, so definitely follow us if you want to see some app previews.
At Zap Payment.
At
Everybody
Zap.
here. Follow for alpha. All right. I think that brings us to the end. Thank you so much for making the time, and really excited to see where Zap goes. And we'll be keeping an eye out.
Awesome. Thanks for having me here. It was great.
Bye.
See ya.